So Jackhammer Global is the largest Pan-African executive search firm that is homegrown, meaning we started our business in South Africa and we now cover 24 or so markets on the continent, which is pretty amazing, actually, if I say so myself. And we currently work with both African and global organizations to help them find their C-level leaders, their executive level leaders, their country managers, their country heads. They're all hard to fill roles. And we've definitely noticed a change in trends in hiring over, I'd say, the last 5 years, and then more particularly over the last 2 or 3. So over to you, Advaitha Naidu, MD Jackhammer Africa. What are the key trends that you're seeing right now?
I want to talk a little bit about the cultural nuance trend. So the first is that companies are definitely relying less on the so-called parachute leaders, partly due to the changing in-country regulations, partly due to the costs associated with bringing in expats, but mostly I think because flying in talent very rarely lands well anymore, because without cultural fluency or local trust, even very capable executives lose credibility. Another big thing to consider is that Africa's leadership talent is here. It's deep, but it does tend to be quite fragmented. It's clustered in Joburg, Lagos, Nairobi. And so there is a lot of capability, but success for a company depends on knowing where to look and how to engage with that talent. There are some companies who want to hire from the diaspora, which I think is fantastic. There is return home, repatriation in many ways, but that is an advantage and a risk because there are globally trained, ambitious executives out there, but sometimes they can be out of sync with the informal rhythms and relational complexity of doing business back home. We still have markets that are very reputation driven or credibility driven in the sense that, people want to have known your name. They want to know who you are before they do business with you. And ultimately, it's going to be cultural nuance that separates people who thrive from those who don't do as well. And understanding that some markets operate under consensus-based decision-making, some are more hierarchical, some are more process and systems-driven, and the best leaders are ones who move fluidly between those, and they know how to connect and are adaptable enough to lead in those very different environments. So what are some of the practical challenges that companies tend to encounter when appointing C-suite leadership across the continent?
The first has to be around salaries and packages, because we see in certain countries where packages are US dollar based, which is kind of weird, but that's how it works because certain currencies have just devalued so much. And then comparing that to local currency based packages, it's almost like two completely different realms of affordability. And so when certainly global companies are hiring, but even local ones, it sometimes is absolutely unaffordable to make an offer that's going to be accepted to somebody who's on a dollar-based package if you are paying in local currency. So that's the one. Obviously, over and above that, there's all the additional bells and whistles that might come with packages for individuals who, and we're not talking about full expat benefits, but there are in certain countries, we'll see that C-suite leaders have the drivers and the security systems and the private schooling and the et ceteras and et ceteras. And so that can, in fact, make a hire a lot more expensive than anticipated. Then there's the issue that the approach of finding good people is different in the US or Europe to Africa. Everybody's on LinkedIn and everybody's got their way of advertising for and sourcing people. Certainly in the US, which is what I see. Mm-hmm. In Africa, it's completely different. You really need to have an incredible network that has to be robust and very credible in order to engage with and identify the right people. And so I guess that's where we come into play, is not necessarily talking up our own game, but those networks are absolutely invaluable. You cannot just place an ad on an online platform and expect that you're going to get high quality leaders who are going to be responding to you. So that's the other big difference for companies when they're thinking about a hire in Africa. If they haven't done this before, they really need to take that into consideration.